It's Tuesday, and I'm headed over to the practice studio, office, space, place. So today on my list is to do some more practicing, but also I want to try and make a checklist. Because if you don't already know, we have a show. My band has a show coming up towards the end of next month. So I want to make a checklist of things that we need to get prepared or done before the show. So I'm gonna probably try and outline that, what all needs to be done and who can do it and all that fun stuff. And there's like a lot of different things we've talked about doing, but nothing we've nailed down to be like, okay, this needs to get done at this time and stuff. So I want to see if we can like try and nail something down. Yeah, so that's the plan for today. Hopefully that is interesting, and maybe it'll have some interesting. You know what's not interesting? Me saying that I hope something is interesting. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to stop saying that. Because for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this in like half an hour. But for you, it'll be split seconds, so you'll know immediately if it's interesting. All right, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. So we're here in front of the whiteboard to try and make some sort of checklist. So currently, the click tracks are set, but we did talk about doing a new song, which if we are going to do that, we need the backing tracks for that. The click is set up, but the bass needs recorded and all that. So whatever like little extra guitar parts that are not going to be played live, that maybe are even just like ambient type sounds, that need to be recorded as well as the bass, because we don't have a bass player. We also talked about, since all of our stuff is digital, it's not as convenient or as, I don't know how to salesman. It's not as nice of like a salesman's pitch. If somebody comes up and you're like, hey, I really liked your music, where can I listen to it? And you're just like, hey, go to this website. Instead, you can just hand them something and then they have something that has that information on it. So we kind of talked about that, maybe if we got little square things that have the album art on the front, and then on the back maybe has all the websites and streaming and all that links, so that you can get that stuff. And that's stuff that needs to be manufactured. So it's like, you got to do that. We got to do that beforehand. It's not something we can just do the day before. We also have shirts for sale right now, but the service we're using, it's sort of like on demand. So if somebody orders it, that's when they print it and make it. So we don't have shirts to physically take to the show, which is another thing that's kind of weird. Is somebody's like, oh, I want to buy your shirt. It's like you don't have anything to give it to them. So the question is, do we want to print shirts beforehand? Like buy some shirts beforehand that we can sell? Or do we want to bring a laptop and people can just order right there and we'll have the website up? I'm not sure how the printing them ourselves would work, because as far as I know, we'd have to pay whatever the price is. So then we'd have to mark it up even more unless we just sell them at cost, which isn't terrible if it's better to have somebody wearing it. Though I guess we would get the same cut that we normally would. If we're paying that $25, we'll still get to keep however much. Yeah, so that's a little weird, but that's something we can talk about. I was just thinking I'd make a list so that we could check some things off and talk about it. So then the other thing is, for the backing tracks that we're running, we sort of talked about buying a rack unit, or I have that suitcase that I was thinking about doing a setup for my laptop in. We also run Axe Effects as well as another laptop for the other guitar. It would be nice to have one sort of like self-contained unit that you could move in and out and have it all in there and just open it up and plug in and go. So we kind of have to figure out what we want to do with that, because that'll take a little setup to make sure it's all working correctly and we can get everything where it needs to go. We do have some other things to worry about, like the equipment and how we're gonna, we do have some other things to worry about, like how we're gonna get the equipment there, because some people live over there, some people live here, but then we're going to a third place that's not quite convenient for somebody to come here and get the stuff and then go there. There was talk of also getting skirms done, which if you don't know what those are the big, like maybe 5 foot, 6 foot tall things that have like some sort of artwork on them, and you put them in front of your cabinets and stuff just to make the front look nice and clean and have that on there. I don't know in this short amount of time if that's something we're going to be able to do, but that's something we have talked about, so I'm going to put it on the list. If we do that, if we decide to do that, we're also going to need to build frames for it out of like PVC, or PVC would probably be the easier because it's lightest, so it'd be easier to transport and you could even take it apart. So I actually said goodbye and then thought of another thing. So this will go before that, so you won't even notice. So now I'm just ruining it by telling you. So one other thing is we're doing a sort of, it's being ruined by this video right now, but the idea was to make it sort of like an anonymous type, you don't know who all the people in the band are, that it's supposed to be like it's just sort of an entity, that the band is just an entity and the people aren't important to that, it's all the other things to it. So the way we're doing that is with a wardrobe type thing where we're going to be wearing masks, are also getting screen printed. They're sort of bandana things that are going to hang on our face. I'm not even sure. There's been talks of a few different designs about what that's going to be. If you saw promo videos, they were like a triangle. There's also talks of being like more like a face shape. I'm not sure if we fully decided on which one, because I think one had more limitations than the other, obviously. But then things changed and whatever. And then there's also, we're going to be wearing like cloak jacket type things with hoods on them. So those need to be done. I think somebody is already working on those, but I'd like to bring it up just to make sure that it's addressed and we know that it's moving forward. But so this is a pretty good list of things that need to be done yet. This is something that I'll probably have to make sure gets done. Some of this other stuff, I'm not sure how we're gonna divvy that out. But I think it would be helpful to have everybody kind of playing a part instead of one person trying to do everything. And also this is sort of an ambitious list. This is like a dream goal of, if we play our first show, this is all the things we want to have. Which I think it's good to set lofty goals, because even if we decided, okay, we're just going to do one of these things, and then we're like, okay, we did it, and then that's it, then you kind of just stop and you're like, okay, well, we accomplished what we did. But if we're at least here, if one of these things doesn't get done, then it's not a huge deal. None of these are important to the overall thing. These are just sort of things to add to it. So as long as we still have the foundation of what, like, we're still going to play music, obviously, and as long as that's all up and running correctly, then we're good to go. All this stuff is just stuff to make it easier and also make it more presentable and more memorable for whoever's watching and all that. So it is a lofty goal, kind of, to have this all done for your first show ever. Most bands that play their first show ever don't have all these different things unless they're already somewhat established in another band or doing some other project or something. A little over 3 weeks left until we are there. And then after that, it's recording and then start the whole thing over again. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.